Now I want to talk to you immediately about fluency. Fluency, again, incorporates that sight word component. Fluency is the ability to read effectively, fluid, like we think of with water. Fluency is the most overlooked component in reading, but yet it made the big five. Why? Fluency actually measures three things when it comes to reading and reading success. Reading speed or reading rate is one of the components that fluency measures. In our fluency component, which again, this one does also fall under one cover where you'll have the assessment and the instructional activities in one book. We will give you the ability to test your child's reading speed or reading rate. Now I want you to keep in mind, this is not a race. This is not a race. A typical third grader reads about 100 words per minute, where an adult would read between 250 to 300 words per minute. I am not a fast reader, and I'm a reading specialist. I like to read, I'm looking for details, I want to understand. And so many people don't read that way. Many people can read and pick out certain topics and they have their understanding. There's lots of research out there that shows what makes a fast reader, what makes a slow reader. What we're looking for is a fluid reader, and reading speed is one of those things that we're going to measure. The other thing that we're going to measure, let me say that again. Some of you have children that read very, very fast. They read so quickly that they omit things, they skip things, they guess at words. Well, that affects their understanding. And so I need to slow them down. Some of you have children that read so slow and methodically that they get to the bottom of the page, they have no idea what they've read. And so reading speed is imperative to fluidity when we're talking about reading. The second thing that fluency measures is accuracy. Now you're going to have a light bulb moment here. Accuracy. If you read it was the red ball and it was really the red barn, you will answer the question incorrectly at the end of the story. But you understood exactly what you thought you read. So when you come to me and you tell me my child has a comprehension problem, yet when I measure their accuracy, they're reading it accurately, it's not a comprehension problem. It's an accuracy issue, and that falls under fluency. If they're reading incorrect words, there's no way they're going to understand completely the story or the information that's being presented. So we're going to measure their accuracy. And the third thing that fluency measures is prosody, prose. We get that word from music, rhythm. There is a rhythm to our language. I don't speak Chinese, but I understand it when I hear it. It's the same thing with English. There is a rhythm to our language. There is a reason why we have commas, periods, exclamation points, question marks. I can change the whole meaning of what I'm reading if I don't pay any attention to those things. So I'm going to measure my child's prosody. I want to see, are they paying attention to that? Are they using voice inflection to change meaning? To see if they are a fluid reader and if that is affecting their ability to read well. I want to talk to you just a moment about what affects fluency. Well, decoding skills. Decoding skills affect your ability to read fluently. Well, what are decoding skills? Let's go back to phonics. Phonics is the code of our language. Fluency is the ability to decode that language in a way that makes it seem like you are just speaking and not reading. When you and I read, we might be on this part of the sentence, but our brain has already moved over to this part of the sentence. And so we are seeing words and reading very fluidly long before our actual eyes lay on those words themselves. Some of the activities that we cover in fluency involve that. We call it chunking or phrase flashing, and these cards are included in that component. Our brain will pick up chunks of words at a time when we read. Eventually, we want to get our child to this stage where we're doing these activities, training the brain to pick up chunks of words at a time so they're not looking at each word individually. Reading is very complex. When we begin to teach reading, we do sounds, we do letter sounds, we put them together, and then we want them to read each word at a time, and now we want them to put the sentences together. When we become good readers, we want to be fluent readers. Now we're not looking at all the words individually. We're picking them up at chunks at a time, and we're deciphering meaning without looking at every letter, every sound, every word. We're reading fluently. So also vocabulary can contribute to fluency. If I don't know what a word means, I might read very choppy. Sight words, if I'm stopping at every single one of those words, it would make my reading sound very choppy. And my ability to self-monitor. If you read to the bottom of the page and you have no idea what you just read, what do you typically do? Well, I would reread it. Some of your children are just happy to have been obedient enough to get to the bottom of the page. They've done what you've asked them to do. They've no idea what they just read. Some children can read through the language very easily. They're great at decoding, but their comprehension is not good, and so it affects their ability to read fluently very much. One of the key areas that we focus on in fluency is rereading or practice. For those of you who play an instrument, if you're given a sheet of music for the first time and you play that, what does it sound like? It sounds like the first time you've played it. It's much the same with children who labor in reading. We allow them to see it, we work on areas, we reread, we practice, and they become better fluent readers. Fluency